Good evening. Thank you for joining us this evening, Tuesday, October 11th, 2022, for a virtual candidate forum for Encinitas City Council District 3. Tonight, you will meet two candidates, one of whom will fill a four-year term on the Encinitas Council representing District 3. I want to extend a special thank you to the League of Women Voters, North County, San Diego, for hosting this forum, and to you, Encinitas residents who care about the future of your community. My name is Chris Harris, and I will be the moderator this evening. I am a member of the League of Women Voters, North County, San Diego. The League was founded in 1920, 102 years ago, when women first gained the right to vote in the United States. But don't let it fool you. We welcome everyone and would love to have you join us in our mission to promote active, informed citizen participation at all levels of government through education and advocacy. Tonight, we will have a chance to learn about the candidates. Your ballots will also include measures or propositions that you will be asked to vote on. The League will have a virtual program on October 15th, where pros and cons on each ballot will be presented in a non-biased format, so each of you can make an educated decision. Information is on lwvncsd.org. I must emphasize that the League of Women Voters never endorses or opposes any political party or candidate for public office. In order to avoid any appearance of conflict of interest, neither the League question sorters, nor the timer, nor I live or vote in District 3, Encinitas. A few words about the format. We will start with a 2-minute opening statement from each candidate. After those comments, we begin the questions. Prior to this evening, the questions were solicited on the League of Women Voter website. The questions have been sorted by trained League members to eliminate duplicates and those not relevant to the office being sought tonight. Generally, candidates will have up to 1 minute to respond to each question. I reserve the right to allow more time for complex questions or even insert a speed round. I'll let you know before the question if that is my intention. The order in which the candidates are speaking has been determined by lot. I will rotate the order in which candidates respond to questions. Our timer will give the candidates a 30-second warning with a yellow sign and then hold up a red sign when the candidate's time is up. Thank you, timer. Recordings of this forum are the property of the League. Written permission is required to replay it. If you have permission, the video must be played in its entirety only and not edited in any manner. And the candidates have agreed to abide by the rules for this evening. The candidates have also agreed to a forum format. Specifically, this is not a debate, but an opportunity for candidates to respond to questions from the community and for the public to hear how they would address issues. As such, candidates agreed to conduct themselves in a civil manner, including refraining from making negative reference to other candidates or their personal qualification, characters, or activities. The League is recording this forum and will post it within 24 hours at LWVNCSD YouTube channel. I've been asked to say if you wish to join the live District 4 forum, which will start at 7:15, you can register for that at the League of Women Voters North County, San Diego website. So let's start with the opening statements. Candidate lines.
Thank you, Chris. Hello, and welcome District 3 and all of Encinitas to this wonderful League of Women Voters forum tonight. This is a wonderful opportunity I am Joy Lines. I'm your current City Council member for District 3, which is all of Cardiff and part of Old and New Encinitas. I'm honored to be your candidate in this race. With the erosion of our at the national level, now more than ever, we need strong local leaders. I've built a successful career as a small business owner in Encinitas, as a landscape architect. I create and restore properties. I understand how to make a place beautiful, to blend with its setting, and to draw from its history. I'm a lifelong environmentalist. I'll bring these skills and passions to the City Council, and I'm doing that now. And I find that it's a very unique. I was selected to fulfill Jody Hubbard's term, and I've been on City Council now for led by introducing solutions to our biggest problems we face together as a city. I've introduced 5 new policies, a recent one for water conservation for drought response, and I'm committed to the environment. I support bold climate action. I'll pioneer innovation in water conservation. I'm a champion for smart managed growth and homelessness, and I can continue to lead us the right path to preserving open space. If you're here today to know the difference between the two candidates, I'll be very clear. We couldn't be more different in style and in substance. I work hard to unite us behind achieving common goals, not fan flames of discontent. I'm a Democrat. I don't change with the wind. I build consensus, get things done. And I hope to earn your vote.
Thank you. Once again, remember that we are not going to disparage other candidates. Thank you. Candidate Thunder.
Julie, unmute yourself.
I'm out of Zoom practice. I'm sorry. Okay. I'll start over. Good evening, everyone. My husband and I have lived in Cardiff for a long time, and we still love it here. I know it can't stay the way it is, but I also know it doesn't have to change as quickly as our city council wants it to. The members of our council believe in densification. Although the state told us to build 1,500 new housing units, council voted to allow developers over 2,000 units. Only a few will be affordable. I understand that we have to meet state mandates, but we don't have to exceed them. As your council representative, I will never vote to let developers grow their projects beyond what the state requires. They already made millions when their property was upzoned. They should now help us minimize the impacts. I stand for slowing that process down, upgrading our infrastructure, and working with our schools so we're all prepared for what's to come. I also stand for local control, which will be back on the ballot soon to return decisions about growth and housing to our city, where they belong, giving voters a say in how our city grows. Back to those 2,000 units already in the pipeline, over 90% of them will be rent-only apartments. So young families and service workers still won't be building equity. Looking ahead, plans are in the making to upzone El Camino Real corridor next, with buildings that are 4 to 6 stories tall and another 5,000 more apartments. Both of these numbers, 2,000 and 5,000 proposed, are above and beyond what the state is mandating. It's too much and too fast. Tonight, ask yourself, when these decisions about housing come before your new city council, do you want a representative who is pro-housing, or do you want me, someone who loves our town and doesn't want to see it forever changed by forced urbanization? Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, now we're to the questions. And the first question is, how will you work across the aisle to unify divisions on city council? Give an example of your working effectively with others. And we are going to start this time with Candidate Thunder.
Well, I have a couple of examples on that. The first one being the traffic safety problems that we have on San Alejo Avenue. A group of neighbors and myself have been working for over 2 years to fix the problems that were caused when they installed the rail trail. We've got cars that go too fast, the lanes are too narrow to be safe. And right next to those lanes are people walking their dogs, walking a baby in a stroller, groups walking together and talking. All of these groups are distracted. The people on the rail trail are distracted. They don't notice how close the cars are coming to them. The people driving the cars are distracted. They're either doing a surf check, or they're watching a pelican fly by, or they're focused on somebody in a bikini on a skateboard going down the rail trail. There's a lot of distraction here. So we've asked over and over again for the city to give us more buffer room, and it's worked. I mean, I've talked to city traffic engineers, oops, my time's up, as well as fire and sheriffs multiple times, and we've got some ideas to move forward with it. So
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. Same question, candidate lines.
Yes, thank you. I think your question is about working across the aisle. And when I think of the answer to that question, I think about leadership, because I have spent a lot of my adult life in leadership in my profession. And I have founded and run several landscape architecture firms, one very successfully, which I sold to a multidisciplinary engineering firm. And what I've learned about leadership is it's not so much what you each bring to the table, but aligning behind common values. So what's important when you want to bring people forward in a group is to lead by identifying where your common values are, and then leading people forward through consensus. Everyone brings something different to the table. And so what you want to do is to find where the common ground is. And many times end up at a negotiated place where you're achieving many of your goals without diminishing anyone who's brought their own individual experience to the table. And I found that that works really well when in my work so far. Thank you.
Thank you. Question number 2, and question number 2. How many years have you been a Cardiff resident, and what is your personal stake in the community? And we're going to start that one again with candidate Thunder, please.
Oh, so I
Yeah.
go first this time too?
Fooled you. Yes.
Okay, fair enough. I've lived in Cardiff for almost 40 years. My husband and I bought a home here in 1987, but we lived here for 2 years waiting for that home to show up. We are invested with our money, our heart, our children, someday their children. I hope they can live here, and I know that's a tough proposition. I'm not sure they can. But what was the other part of your question? How long have we lived here? And
Your personal stake in the community.
oh, a deep and abiding love for Cardiff, for the lifestyle, for the people who live here, for my friends that live here, my daughter's friends, my husband's soccer team friends, the people we've met through all the surf clubs and the athletic clubs that we belong to. Yeah, I'm invested. I'm a lifer here.
Thank you.
Candidate lines.
When I first moved to Cardiff 10 years ago, my husband and I rented in Sandy Point, and we loved the community. About 8 years ago, we purchased a property, and I live in a community called Sienna Hills, which is just north of Park Place. So it's not in Cardiff, but part of the district is also in Old Encinitas and New Encinitas. So where I live is Old Encinitas. But I think the question you may be getting at is my investment in District 3. And I want to answer that by saying I don't feel entitled by virtue of my address to lead here. I feel that I have to earn it. I have to really make sure that my values are aligned. And one thing I've learned is I am a really good fit for our community here in District 3, in that I really foster stewardship of our environment. I really care about our climate and climate protection. And I love our people. And that's why I want to focus on affordable housing for our people.
Okay, I'm going to come back to you now with question number 3. We changed topics now. We're talking about housing. How can Encinitas protect itself from state mandates that override our local ordinances and planning? What is the state doing now that we can legitimately challenge? And we're starting with candidate lines, please.
Right. This is a challenging topic, and I wish I had more than 1 minute. Perhaps there'll be more time later. This seems as though the state mandates keep on piling on, and what we really care about most is protecting our community. So I think that the mandates represent things like the housing element, which is state law. And I believe we need to conform with state law. We don't want to be in any more lawsuits. But in order to make this work for us here, we have a lot of opportunity to our local standards and our ordinances so that we can protect ourselves better. And one thing I freshman experience here on City Council is that we have many opportunities to improve how we preserve our open space. We preserve those things that are important to us, that are part of our character, part of our uniqueness here as a coastal community. So we can protect ourselves and locate that housing where it suits us best.
Thank you. And candidate Thunder.
Thank you. One important change we can make is to change the inclusionary percentages that we're requiring developers to build. If you allow a developer, if you upzone a lot, a parcel that's going to allow that developer to build 300 units, and you only require, first it was 15, council upped it to 20% inclusionary. That's only going to be 60 units that are quote unquote affordable. The Planning Commission asked for 50% and showed the developers could still make a profit, enough of a profit to encourage them to build. At 50% inclusionary, you would get 150 affordable units, and we would get more affordable units with less impact to the city, and we would also get the state off our backs sooner. What has happened now is the City Council has, with allowing the 20%, we're only providing, when all 15 properties are built out, we'll only provide just over 300 affordable units. That's not enough, folks. We need 800 to 1,500 affordable units. So we've already been told by the state that they're coming back to ask for more next year.
Thank you. On the same, maybe someone's opportunity to elaborate. What do you think of SB 9? That was the state increasing R1s to 2 or more dwellings. I'm going to start again with candidate lines, please.
Yes, SB 9 is a mandate from the state, which I wrote a letter of that I did not support this to our governor and to the authors of the new law. What it does is create more density, and it does impact us in some ways we need to protect ourselves from. So this is a good example of where we're in the process of creating objective standards which help to manage our ability to blend these developments in with our natural and cultural character here in the community. But I am in support of affordable housing, and I want to touch on that because I don't think we need to help developers with market rate housing. I am in favor of supporting just our choices in affordable housing with different strategies, such as workforce housing, that really accommodates those who work here and live here in our community.
Thank you. And
SB 9 and SB 10 was a massive overreach by the state of California. They are going after single family housing and they're out to dismantle it. They want 2 and 3 mini houses built next to all of us. In SB 9 and SB 10, there is no requirement for affordable housing. So while the state of California and the legislators and the lawmakers keep saying we need affordable housing, we need affordable housing, they're passing laws that don't address affordable housing. What they want is density. They've got people leaving the state and they're doing everything they can to entice them back. And it was very disappointing to me that our council would not write a letter of support to the state of California to ask them to not pass that, to the governor, excuse me. SB 9 and SB 10 will change our neighborhoods greatly. So what we need to do is get local control passed, which is an initiative that'll be back on the ballot. Local control will protect us from these aggressive overreach laws that the state of California is passing.
Thank you.
More on that later.
Okay, this may be your opportunity. Encinitas needs more affordable housing. What do you see as a path forward to work effectively with the state to produce much needed affordable housing for seniors, young people raised here, and our workforce? And Candidate Thunder, you may continue.
Well, I go back to that 50% inclusionary that the Planning Commission recommended, which, by the way, I believe is one of the issues that Planning Commissioner Bruce Ehlers was fired over for making that recommendation. That when they made that recommendation, the city council, instead of denying it completely and holding the inclusionary rate at 20%, could have easily upped it from 20, anywhere between 20 and 50. We would be better off if they had said, okay, at least 30, 35, 40, 45. They could have gone to 50. The state of California never said we won't accept 50. In fact, there are attorneys with HCD at the state of California that said they think 50 might work. And there are cities that are doing more. So that's one way we could get more affordable housing. Another way,
Candidate Lines.
Thank you. More affordable housing is really the primary goal, and we have other ways and good ways we can address this goal. I look at my district, in District 3, we have 42% of our units, our residential units, are rentals. And I also see, based on our census, that we've lost people over the last 10 years that are under 40 years old. There are barriers to ownership in our community that are going to change who we are over time, because if our younger generation can't stay here, the nurses, the teachers, the people who work at Scripps, the school district, then what we're doing is we're losing our culture by not providing affordable options. I've been focused on 100% affordable, which is a subsidized way to provide for affordable housing. And we are looking at that, and I am promoting it on City Council. I am also looking at workforce housing as a public-private partnership that there are many models around the country that has been very successful in locally.
Thank you. Okay, we're going to jump now. What role should municipal government play in funding cultural and creative efforts? Please state your reasons. And we are starting with Candidate Thunder.
well, I think they should play a fairly good sized role. I think there are cities that take that role much more serious and cities that don't. We already have a huge cultural arts community here. And I think we took a big step towards supporting that with Pacific View. Although I think we overpaid for that, and I think we're in trouble in some areas with Pacific View. We've clearly made a statement that we're supportive of the arts. It's unfortunate that we just lost that Ilpapatty Music Festival. And I think we're probably going to learn a lot more about that in the near future. But that was a problem. That shows that maybe our city is not as focused on arts as the rest of us think that we should be. I'm a painter myself, so I love to go to the art shows, and I think most people around here do, and that's why we have so many of them. Thank you.
Candidate lines.
As a landscape architect, I have one foot solidly in the culture and arts field. I've always integrated art and culture into my design projects. And I think that our art and our culture and our community are the heart and soul of who we are. That is so especially true here in District 3. It warms my heart how many beautiful people are creating art in so many ways, whether it's visual art or performing arts. I have volunteered at the Pacific View property in many ways, several ways as far as volunteering with the Historic Board Society. And I designed the first layout, and I'm a big supporter of not only promoting it and funding it as we move forward, but expanding and looking at the opportunity to create an arts district in Encinitas. And I think there's interest across the whole 101 throughout our community for an arts district.
Chris, yeah, unmute.
It's hard to hear me. Should Encinitas put more money into the Pacific View school site? Why and why not? And we are going to start question 7 with candidate lines.
Yes, thank you. I am a proponent of Pacific View. I just voted to fund $7 million for the restoration of the school. We have continued to have support across the city through many years of working with nonprofits to bring to fruition our dream for creating a partially city funded and partially nonprofit programmed venue for music, for art, for visual arts, for performing art. And it is the lifeblood of our community. We have hundreds of artists in our community who are looking forward to us working together to see this come to life in our community. So I'm a big fan, a big proponent, and we're going to look to manage it in a way where it will bring in some funding.
I think it's throwing her off by reminding her, and I can't.
Candidate Thunder.
Sorry, can you repeat the question? I'm
I
sorry.
certainly can. Only if I can find it. Hold on. Should Encinitas put more money into the Pacific View school site? Why or why not?
Encinitas missed a very, very good opportunity. When they first bought Pacific View, there was a man in Encinitas that brought forth an amazing idea to use Pacific View for a school. It's zoned as a school and municipal use. Don't quote me on that, but you can't just flip it and do something completely different with it. His idea was to use it during the day for for a disabled adult school, and then use it in the evenings for all of the art programs. That would have brought in real money, not just small money, of which it's never produced any income. And it would have been a game changer. You would have gotten much more public support. The school would have had a dual use and a good use. There's also a gentleman in Cardiff that is promoted Pacific View being used as an Olympic-sized pool, and using the school at night for the art classes. There's so many ways to make real money that we're missing.
We are jumping again. We talked about housing. Now let's talk a little bit about the unhoused.
Mhm.
What is the city doing to help the unhoused, and how can you make it better? Give 3 specific steps, and this goes to candidate lines first.
We are working with our sheriff to monitor and address the homeless situation in our community. I voted to fully fund our sheriff department with additional resources, including what's called the HOPE team, which is a team that can be brought in to help with the social services associated with people who need to be connected with those social services who are homeless. We have that exceptional funding, and it is a connection to our regional resources that's very valuable to us. We also have a homeless action plan and a person in our city who brings that forward to address how to better respond to our homeless concerns in the community. And we also have the safe parking program, which has never had any issues associated with the people who are in that program. And it has found solutions for 154 people who have been homeless and now are housed.
Candidate Thunder, please.
Sorry, I don't know if I feel like I shouldn't jump
You're
in
good.
until I can say something. Okay, homelessness. I'd like to make a comment on the city's homeless action plan. That's a document we paid nearly $70,000 to a well-connected political person that's well-connected to the mayor. For $70,000, we got a homeless action plan that reads like a homeless come to Encinitas plan. There are no solutions in that plan for the drug addicted or the alcohol addicted. And those are where our main problems lie. The folks that are unhoused in our city that are causing the problems right now are the ones that are suffering from addictions. That population of people needs much bigger help than a city of Encinitas can provide. We need to demand more from the city to address our homelessness that's gone up 74% in the last year. We cannot ignore it. It's clear we can't deal with this on our own. So we're going to need help from the county.
Thank you. Continuing, one more question on homelessness. How do you propose to balance dealing with resident safety and the needs of the unhoused? And that starts with candidate Thunder, please.
I think it's really important that we start enforcing our municipal codes, which are called quality of life laws. The codes that say no sleeping in parks, no going to the bathroom on the walls of buildings in downtown Encinitas. Just to be clear, our shop owners are hosing off their walls most mornings. We have to enforce those rules. And if it's going to take a year of letting the homeless know we need business on the little things, then I think it's worth an investment in one or more sheriff's deputies or some program. We have to enforce that. We have to get the car campers either moved on to the homeless parking lot or out of town. They're camping for free in our homes. Sorry, not our homes, on our streets. And they're using the street that they camp on as their toilet. That is not right on any level for any of us. They're also using playgrounds as their toilet when they camp in Encinitas Community Park. We've had hazmat there many times. This has to be addressed.
Candidate Lines.
I disagree with my opponent in the detail of what she has presented. What I want to focus on is this question seems to be pointing to crime or to personal safety of our residents. And over the last year to date, last year to this time this year, our crime has reduced 3% across our city, as well as in that same time period, our arrests have increased by 13%. I fully funded our sheriff and we brought in new programs. Now, this has been within the last 18 months, and it is making a difference. And we are focused that we have the resources from the broader region. The County Board of Supervisors just formed a committee on homelessness, which emphasizes their role and how important it is for us and them to plug in and solve the homeless situation.
Thank you. You provided me a segue to the only question we had about crime. And I'm going to let candidate Thunder start. In the last 3 years, has crime increased in Encinitas? And do you think we have adequate law enforcement in the city? And can you,
Absolutely, crime has increased. I mean, we had stabbings at the Bonds down the street from my house. We had a store manager at Albertsons or Stater Brothers get attacked not that long ago. I've had 2 personal friends attacked in the last 2 months. One at Swami's parking lot, one in front of Gordy's bakery. That never happened before. It never happened before. We've got, do you know what was just posted on Nextdoor? A soccer league, Encinitas Soccer League, posted a warning to parents who are arriving for games to remind their children at Leo Mullen Park to not approach any homeless by themselves and to not go to the bathrooms alone, because there's so many homeless living at the park right now and on the other side in the creek. Absolutely, crime has gone up, and that should be a crime. We shouldn't have to tell our children, watch where you kick the ball when you're at soccer practice. That's definitely a crime. Oh shoot, I'm out, sorry.
candidate Lines?
I think people can have an opinion about crime, but what I want to focus on are the numbers again. And I already outlined what the improvement has been over the last year. But also, if you look at the arc of our history and our data on crime over the last 20 years, our crime has improved in our community. We are really focused on making sure we have all the resources that we need, including a new COPS program. It's called Citizens Oriented Policing and Partnership, where we work together with residents in the community to help solve complex and untraditional problems. And sometimes these have to do with mental health issues or more social issues, but they may not be traditionally homeless or traditionally crime, but it kind of spans that gap so that across the board, all of our needs are being addressed by the right kinds of specialists to help us succeed at addressing crime in the city.
Chris,
Thank you. Thank you. I was muted, yes. Okay, are we ready for another change? Here we go. Do you support the city's climate action plan? Why or why not? And we are going to start with candidate Lines, please.
I absolutely support it. I served on our Encinitas Environmental Commission for 2 terms. And during that time, we took our climate action plan and we hired staff and we evolved it into a climate implementation plan. In that implementation plan, we have clear goals about protecting our climate. It's our most vulnerable resource. And here we are in a coastal community where sea level rise and decarbonization are critical to focus on. So our climate action plan is rigorous, it's gold standard. We establish a model in our whole state for what we care about in our community. And I have brought many of the initiatives forward to our city council and approved and voted for model initiatives to help preserve our climate and preserve our earth in the future.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Yes.
Candidate Thunder.
That environmental commission that she mentioned she served on is the one that developed the plan to ban natural gas. And then from city council, they, as she said, voted to ban natural gas in any new construction. If that didn't have to happen yet, that could have been postponed while we're in this affordability crisis. I can't agree with that, and I get stuck on that when I look at the climate action plan. It doesn't make sense. If we have an affordability issue, why would you take away the cheapest form of heat and cooking from the people that need the help the most? But that's what we've done. So all of these over 2,000 new apartments are all going to be electric, and they're all going to be dealing with the next round of brownouts or whatever we're going to have, like we had this year. So there are some parts I have a big problem with.
Okay. Wow. I've decided I'm not muting myself because I never remembered to unmute myself, so I'm just leaving it. The El Camino corridor. The El Camino Real specific plan. The city is in the process of creating a specific plan for the El Camino Real corridor. What should that plan include? And we are starting with candidate lines again, please.
Thank you. I am not afraid of a specific plan. I am a planner. I plan and I design. So I know the opportunities that a specific plan can give us in this community. What it gives us is the opportunity to rethink the land form, the form of how we develop our land in an area where we believe the current land form may not serve us best. So it's really a way to rethink an environment, like maybe it's all the big box or the bricks and mortar. And what if we go in the direction we don't need that so much anymore? How are we going to rethink that so that it works well for us? And I know we're looking at it as far as providing some housing, but I look at it from the perspective of greenways and providing for bicycle routes that are separated from car routes, providing plazas and open space for people to walk with their children in a safe way to experience the community and go to cafes. I think it's an opportunity.
Thank you. Candidate Thunder.
I'll try to get all this in. The city has tried to upzone the El Camino Real, not once, but twice before. This is the third try. The two other times failed because of the amount of housing it was bringing, and there weren't road improvements to match it. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, you had a look on your face.
No.
This time, for the third time, because the other two failed, the city's going all in. They want to upzone the entire corridor. That means every parcel. Go to the north of the map where REI and Walmart is, every parcel along El Camino Real, down to and including LA Fitness and Sprouts. Every parcel. Guess what the minimum number of apartments will be? 5,000. The city's already stated that. It's in a document. You can see it on my website. Easy to find. Minimum of 5,000 new apartments, maximum of 8,000, and that's a guess. By the time they get built out, if the state laws continue to change, we could be looking at way more than 8,000. I definitely do not support that, but I think there are areas that are reasonable to do mixed use on El Camino Real.
Thank you. Let's talk about bicycles. With more bicycles, and especially e-bikes in Encinitas, do you think Encinitas should adopt more regulations? And we are starting with, tell me if I'm right, I think I'm right. We are starting with candidate Thunder.
Thank you. I think we have to do something about the e-bikes and the teens. When I see 2 and 3 girls leaving high school on an e-bike together, and helmets are dangling from the handlebars, we need to do something. Somebody's going to get hurt. I don't want to wait until we have a tragedy. What is that something? I think there's a lot of ideas floating out there. I'm interested in the idea of having the kids that don't yet have a driver's license go through some certificated program to where they can at least learn the road rules. We can start there and then determine where we go from there. I think e-bikes are here to stay. I think we're only going to have more of them. I don't have one yet, but even I want one. I mean, they're fun, but we need to really you can't slow it down, but we need to take a hard look, and it should be a priority. Carlsbad prioritized their e-bikes by declaring an e-bike emergency, and they're looking at exactly some of these things. And I think I'm very interested to see what they do.
Thank you. Candidate.
E-bikes, sure, thank you. E-bikes across the board are a concern in our community. I speak with people almost on a daily basis, and we talk through what we're doing. Right now, what we're doing is providing education, and the education is very important. It's the carrot, you know, the carrot is a good way to start. Also, at some of the middle schools, including Oakcrest, they are requiring when students bring their bikes to school that they have a certification that they have taken the training. And that's another carrot, so that's a good carrot. We are watching Carlsbad to see how they're approaching their regulation and their improvement in their standards. They are a bigger city with more money to invest or study. So far, we're not going too far into enforcement, but I think, well, we're enforcing based on what our laws and codes are, but additional enforcement is absolutely a possibility, and it's on our radar for the near future.
Thank you. Wow, we did a lot of questions, and this will be the last one, I believe. What would you do to make it easier for people to get around without driving a car? Consider bicycles, pedestrians, public transportation. And we are starting, I believe, with Candidate Thunder again. Go.
We have so many bike lanes everywhere now. What we can do, instead of adding more bike lanes and more bollards and more zebra stripes and more signage and more flashing lights, what I think we could do is actually slow down the traffic everywhere. There's there's a movement to bring the entire city down to 35 miles per hour or less. I'm interested in that. I'm not bought in, but I think that sounds good. That's exactly what we did on Santa Alejo. We got it down to 35, for example. And now Coast Highway between Cardiff and Solana Beach is at 35. We can slow down the traffic. We can focus on the main arteries and make sure those areas have sidewalks. And, you know, that comes with the ADA access. It's not a small project, but it would help a lot.
Thank you. And Candidate Lines.
The best way to address circulation is to address the combination of different types of ways people move and transport themselves. So train is a great opportunity. We have it right here. But what we're missing is that last mile. So a person needs to really have a smart way of getting from the train to their house to the store. Now the e-bikes and the bikes, they're helping with that. We need to be focused on developing where our housing is associated with our transit and with our transportation corridors so that people can reasonably handle those smaller trips within the community without getting in a car. I know some people who would love that and already love that if they're already in that situation. I think continuity of our trails is so important because the more we have fluid, safe continuity throughout the city, then the safer our people who are transporting themselves around the community on bikes and walking will be. So I will focus really strongly on continuity and loops that are safe within the community.
Thank you. We're drawing to a close. This will be the last question, and timer, it is a 30-second question. So all we'll get is a stop sign on this one, folks. But I think you can do this. What is the best way to get people safely across the railroad tracks? And we are going to start with candidate Lines.
I think there's two best ways. So sorry for that, but it really depends on the situation in that sometimes at grade crossings are the smartest way to go, especially when the topography is complementary to at grade crossing. And what we need to do is find those opportunities, especially in North Leucadia, to get people cross the railroad tracks in several locations. Now, there's other places where an underpass under the tracks is smart, and we do have some of those. Now, again, topography plays a role.
Thank you. Got to be quick. Candidate Thunder.
We need to be building crossings before we're building fences. Cardiff is suffering the ill effects of that. North Leucadia is suffering the ill effects of that. And Central Leucadia is suffering the ill effects of no crossings. Furthermore, if we brought down the scale of the crossing, we could have more of them and sooner. So I promote a smaller scale down crossing than what we just did at El Portal and Swami's. They're beautiful, but let's do them smaller. In Cardiff, we just want to get through. We don't need the artwork.
Thank you. I'm going to give the candidates a few minutes to think about their closing statements, and I have a few things to read to you. So I have some reminders about voting. Election day is November 8th. I know you're all registered to vote, but if you know someone who is not registered, the last day is October 24th. If they miss that date, encourage them to vote by completing registration at any vote center up to and including election day and filing a provisional ballot. Democracy is a participation sport. The voters began receiving their mail-in ballots on October 10th. You can register, track your ballot, locate drop-off boxes, and locate polling centers at sdvote.com. You can find information about upcoming forums, the pros and cons of the propositions, and other helpful information on the League's site, lwvncsd.org, and online at votersedge.org. On to the closing comments by the candidates. They have 2 minutes to share their final thoughts with you. We will begin in the reverse order of the opening statements. So we will begin with candidate Thunder.
First, I want to say thank you, ladies, and Timer and Joy for tonight. My husband and I have lived in Cardiff for a long, oh, I was sorry, that's wrong. This one I already did. I'm so sorry. 1 second. Here we go. I know crime and homelessness are high on your list of concerns. They're high on mine too. Like you, I want a safe city, and I'll prioritize public safety with every vote. Remember that after extensive interviews, the sheriff's deputies and local firefighters each chose to endorse me for this race. They know I mean what I say about our safety. I want a compassionate solution for our homeless that lifts up those that are ready and shows a clear path for those that aren't. There are no easy solutions, but there are sensible actions a city can take to begin the process. I recognize the urgency of our changing climate. One way we can help is to cover less of our raw land with buildings and parking lots and roads. Open space provides room for us to breathe, space for our wildlife, and land for our native plants to survive as nature intended. But the urbanization of Encinitas is the most important issue we face today. It will bring irreversible change because, folks, once you cover a property with apartments, it can't be undone. So who will you elect? Someone who wants to slow down the urbanization and try to preserve the parts of Encinitas that we love, or someone who is pro high density housing? I hope you'll vote for me. I'm nonpartisan, so I won't have a political party calling me before important votes, trying to influence my thinking. My loyalty will be to you. my friends and neighbors in Cardiff and Encinitas who call this home. Thank you and good night.
Thank you. Candidate lines.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, League of Women Voters, and everyone who's participated today. This has been a wonderful experience, and I hope everyone has learned. We have a lot at stake here in Cardiff and District 3. We need bold action in the right, I want to emphasize this, forward-thinking direction. We need to think about the future. We need to protect ourselves and our open space as we move into the future. We want to leave this land a better place with a higher quality of life. We need leaders who tackle challenges and get results so that we can protect our beautiful city. Over the last 10 years and in the 18 months in office, I've proven that I'm that leader in preservation, infrastructure, housing, and safety. My opponent is on the record saying no to new Cardiff infrastructure funding. I vote yes for following through on promises to Cardiff on infrastructure. My approach is to unify and get important things done. I build bridges between people. I build bridges between our communities. I will unify our community towards housing for seniors, middle class, and the workforce. I will continue to ease traffic, build new trails, our open space. Through my career as a small business owner in Encinitas, as a landscape architect, I understand how to make a place beautiful, to blend with its setting and draw from its history. I bring this unique knowledge to my leadership at the city, and I'm passionate about continuing to create a clean and healthy and beautiful community in the future. This is the future. I see a future where our multi-generational families can live. We must keep our diversity and vibrance through affordable housing. I have been listening and I'm engaged in more community involvement over the last decade than many people have in a lifetime. My endorsements speak for my values. I'm endorsed by the Climate Defenders Action Fund, the Sierra Club, Planned Parenthood, Congressman Mike Levin, San Diego Democratic Club, the Young Democrats, and I'm a Moms Demand Action gun sense candidate.
Thank you. In concluding tonight's forum, I would like to thank the volunteers at the League of Women Voters, the question sorters, the timer, the Zoom admin. I want to thank and commend the candidates for their courage and willingness to run for public office. They are making democracy work. On the screen, you can see some of the web addresses for things that will help you with unbiased voter information. Thank you all and have a good night.